Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MedTech Impact Podcast, where you get to hear from leaders and innovators who are shaping the future of medical technology. I'm Kyle Cruz.
And I'm Richard Meiklejohn.
And we're your hosts of the show.
So today on the MedTech Impact Podcast, we have with us Joey Brown, Global Vice President of Venus Hair. Joey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. I've been excited to join you today.
Well, we are excited to have you on. Obviously, something that I can readily relate to, a hair restoration product. So let's dive in there. Of course, when we kick off this discussion, we want to know what is that big problem. I maybe alluded to it a little bit, but what is the big problem that Venus Hair is looking to solve?
Well, it's obvious, right? So hair loss affects millions and millions of people. A lot of people are, their lives are disrupted by hair loss. They're absolutely depressed over it. Some people absolutely debilitated by it. So what we're trying to do at the end of the day is help people who suffer from hair loss, give them the best possible result in a hair restoration procedure, and ultimately let them feel better about themselves. I think it's the most noble cause. I come at this from many different angles, one of them being a patient myself. So I was suffering from hair loss. I was upset over my hair loss, looking for an example and looking for a solution rather, and that ultimately led me where I am. So this is near and dear to my heart and my head.
It's
practicing what you preach.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's such, again, a fascinating space because I think this bi-directional part where people who suffer hair loss, it causes depression. People who have depression, can suffer hair loss. And sometimes it's almost like this taboo topic that people don't want to talk about. So again, the fact that you guys are bringing something in terms of solution is so exciting.
It really is, because not only are we trying to help people ultimately feel better about themselves and solve their hair loss, but we're trying to solve the inherent problems in the procedure itself. When we talk about helping people with their hair loss, we look at it in two ways. Number one, obviously, we want to solve hair loss for millions of people who are bothered by it. But there are inherent problems in the procedure itself that we want to use our amazing technology, artificial intelligence, micron-accurate robotics to address those issues as well. You've probably noticed when someone loses their hair, when men lose their hair, they almost always retain the hair on the side and the back of their scalp. The reason is that hair is simply immune to the hormone that causes hair loss. That hormone is dihydrotestosterone, a derivative of our body's own natural testosterone. So in hair restoration, what we're ultimately doing is we are surgically removing permanent healthy hair follicles from the donor area and implanting those permanent healthy hair follicles, reintroducing them back into the recipient area where the patient is losing their hair. So that's what we're doing with hair restoration. The problem with the procedure is that you cannot actually see the hair follicle underneath the skin. So if you're trying to surgically excise or remove something that you cannot see, that poses a problem. I call that method the SWAG method. SWAG stands for systematic wild ass guess, meaning that I know there's a healthy follicle under the skin, and I know that if I transplant that to the top, that follicle will take root and grow. But how do I extract it without damaging it? Because I can't see it. Enter artificial intelligence, enter robotics, enter a 2024 solution to an age-old problem.
Well, Joey, come on. We're on the edge of our seats. Tell us all about the technology and the robot, how it works. We're eager to hear.
Yeah, so the robot is absolutely amazing. So our robot, it's actually a binocular, stereoscopic, image-guided surgical robot. And that's a mouthful, I know. But what the robot has the ability to do, in the first place, it can scan the back of the patient's scalp, and it can quickly identify all of the existing terminal hairs on their head. And then it can determine based on an algorithm, which hairs would be better for transplantation based on the angle, the exit angle, the direction of the hair's growth, the caliber, the diameter, a lot of things into this algorithm. So the first thing the robot does is it scans the back of the scalp, the donor area. It identifies the absolute best hair for hair transplantation. Second, it can determine exact spacing between the hairs that we want to extract. And it can do that with absolute accuracy. In other words, we can harvest hairs in an even distribution and we can set the distance between them. That's very difficult to do by hand. And most importantly, the robot, it actually looks at every single hair in the donor area. It calculates the angle that the hair is growing away from the skin 100 times per second. It follows the trajectory of that shaft of hair subdermally all the way to the follicle so that we can then fire the needle and extract the follicle intact without damaging it. And the best thing about robotics is that it doesn't suffer from human fatigue. When we're doing hair restoration, we're moving thousands of hair follicles. If you're doing this manually by hand, the physician is literally getting tired. Think about throwing darts, right? If you threw darts and you had to throw 3,000, are you going to get closer or further from the bullseye, right? So the robot, it can do a micron accurate surgical dissection thousands and thousands of times and maintain micron accuracy. The reproducibility of the robot is what lends itself so well to this particular treatment.
I'm hearing artificial intelligence, machine learning, coupled with robotics, right? Accuracy, faster treatment times, better outcomes. Absolutely incredible. Joey, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
Something like this isn't developed overnight. Tell us
Right.
how this technology came to be. Where did it all start? And how did, it become Venus Hair's product today?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And a lot of people are very curious about that. The technology evolved over using artificial intelligence and machine learning, as you said, and actually our ability to have image-guided robotics. At the time, during the early development stages, the engineers were unsure of actually what medical technology it might be best for. And then when dermatologists started becoming aware of this technology, they thought, this would be absolutely perfect for hair restoration because the image that is guiding the hair is actually the shaft of hair that we're trying to remove subdermally under the skin to collect the follicle. In other words, the robot follows the image of the hair growing outside of the skin to mathematically calculate exactly the location of the follicle producing that hair under the skin. So we use the technology to solve the inherent problem in hair restoration, which is the collection of the follicle intact. So the technology was developed and then applied to the need, which is hair restoration and surgical harvesting of healthy hair follicles. So that's how it came to be. As far as our acquiring it, at Venus Concept, we wanted to take a huge stake in hair restoration because, again, hair restoration affects millions of people. It's absolutely debilitating to many people. Our goal is to use technology to help people look and feel better about themselves. And so I can't think of anything better to do than to help people who suffer from hair loss and to use technology to perfect that procedure. And let me tell you something. We have to date invested $500 million into this technology. That's what's been invested in this. We are determined to help people who suffer from hair loss and to apply the latest space age technology to that endeavor.
Yeah, that's really neat. And Richard, oftentimes we hear about a lot of larger strategics that are going out, right? And they're identifying certain technologies and devices and capabilities, and they're acquiring them and they're bringing them under their umbrella and essentially doing what Joey and Venus Hair has done, right? Is putting it all together, developing that robotic technology, now bringing to market, something that, well, is the future of hair transplants, right? So it's just remarkable to kind of hear how you've done that over the years. and the money invested. I think too, Richard, at Device Talks Boston recently, we were hearing a lot about robotic technology. That was a huge focus at Device Talks. And the cool part is, what we're hearing in other parts of medical device is exactly what Joey's saying today, is that robotics is making it far more accurate, right? These procedures, there's less human error, right? Again, creating better outcomes, right? So the more robotics are adopted, the more we're going to see, again, these better outcomes being achieved with these technologies. So it's just really cool to hear how, you're seeing it on hair restoration now, where, typically we're used to hearing it, being done on other, surgical applications throughout the body. So really interesting stuff.
Absolutely awesome. Honestly, Kyle, you said two words there, remarkable and robotics. I mean, these two things shone through. So, Julie, thank you so much for laying it out for our listeners on how you're going about this. I'm wondering now, like, clearly this is a huge opportunity. You've invested a lot of money. How are you getting this to customers? How are you getting this to patients? What's happening with that go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, we are telling the world about robotics and what's available to them today, and we're trying to get them excited about things that we're actually working on and developing in the future. I mean, we actually, Venus acquired Restoration Robotics because of all of the intellectual property around the robot and the amazing technology that we have. You touched on something that I think is very important. If you think about just Venus as a whole, right? Our goal is to help people feel better about themselves any way we can. And we have a portfolio of aesthetic lasers that are very, very, very good technology, right? It's fundamentally sound technology. But a lot of medical technology today is being driven by a human being, right? A human arm, literally. If you think about a lot of the body tightening and skin tightening and face tightening that's done all over the world, it's an esthetician many times using a technology covering an area. So what we're looking at is time, distance, depth, and duration. And you know that person at some point is suffering from human fatigue as they do this repetitive motion. So that is, again, that's just a great way to apply robotics and technology to ensure that every single patient gets the absolute best outcome every single time. And I think that we're just at the tip of the iceberg as to what can be done applying robotic technology and artificial intelligence to medical devices. And we intend to be on the cutting edge of that.
And can you give us a sense of where you are on this pathway? How many patients have been done through this process? What's the feedback been like from those patients?
Yeah, at Venus Concept, we have a portfolio of aesthetic devices. We've treated tens of millions of people. Specifically in hair restoration, we are changing the world of hair restoration. The people that become aware of our technology are absolutely fascinated by it. Earlier we talked about our ability to harvest the hair follicle that you cannot see with your human eye underneath the skin, but that's only half of the battle. I want you to think about this. Once we've collected all of the hairs that we intend to reintroduce into the scalp, right? Most people who are having hair restoration, they're not completely bald. They have some existing terminal hair. And so if you think about doing this manually, and basically the doctor is wearing loops and he's making thousands of tiny incisions in and around and among and between existing hairs, and those hairs are valuable. We want to save those hairs. So the robot uses artificial intelligence and machine learning and binocular stereoscopic patented vision systems to identify all of the existing hair and then place the new hairs exactly where the patient needs them without adversely disrupting the existing terminal hair subdermally. In other words, if you have hairs and you want more hair, we can place those hairs exactly where you need them with minimal damage to existing hairs. And again, this is micron surgery, right? So we need to be micron accurate. Again, technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, micron accurate, highly reproducible robotics. This is changing the world. I like to say one hair at a time.
I love it. Absolutely. And so let's, touched on their accuracy, the ergonomics. but clearly from a patient perspective, that experiential. So again, I'm a prime candidate, I'm a customer, I want to get this done. What does that look like as a process? Where am I going? Who am I speaking to?
Yeah.
What's that timeline?
Well, you're coming to visit one of our customers who utilizes robotic technology. And these doctors are physicians. They have, for the most part, they're either plastic surgeons or cosmetic dermatologists. They're already helping people who suffer from hair loss. There are many treatments. Usually, surgical hair restoration is the ultimate and end treatment. There's a lot of adjunct therapies that go into it. So you would be examined by a physician. You would discuss with him exactly your case, what could and should be done for you. And if you are deemed a viable candidate, then they would explain to you exactly what the robot does, how it does it, and how it would be applied to your specific situation. And in many times, we're able to permanently restore lost hair for people using amazing technology. That hair is permanent. It will grow for the rest of your life. I tell you this from experience. I was losing my hair, and all of the hair that you see in the front of my head has been restored. It is permanent hair, and I absolutely love it. Looking in the mirror and watching yourself grow younger is priceless. And so we want to make sure that we're using the latest technology to give everyone that experience.
Joey, this is really interesting too. Talking about that go-to-market strategy, also, in talking about now the clinician or physician, right, that's using your product. It's, robotic technology. This is pretty sophisticated stuff. It's new. It can be a little bit daunting, right? So, how are you kind of partnering with your customers to help support them?
You know what, Kyle? That's probably what I'm most proud of with my team. And you're right. A lot of doctors who want to help people who suffer from hair restoration, they really don't have a background in hair restoration. So we want to help them in that regard as well. At Venus, we've created a hair university, if you will. And so when somebody partners with us and they acquire our technology, they are cordially invited to a preceptorship in our home office in San Jose, California, where some of the top hair restoration surgeons in the world will train them on the nuances of hair restoration. Not just the buttonology of how to use and drive the robot. Our clinical trainers will do that, but I have a team of the top hair restoration surgeons in the world who help doctors understand how to diagnose who is a good candidate for hair restoration, how to prescribe the treatment, to know exactly what treatment would be best for them, how to design that treatment, and to make sure that they truly are getting the best outcome possible, both medically and utilizing the latest technology. So if anyone is interested in getting into hair restoration, there's a huge need. There's a huge market. Millions of people suffer from hair loss. We want to help them. We want to help you help them. So at Venus, it is what I call a comprehensive business model to bring hair restoration with training, experience, and technology into your practice. That's how we do it, Kyle.
It's funny how you mentioned that word experience, because to me, it's coming through loud and clear that you're thinking about the experience, not just for the patients, but clearly for the providers who are doing this wonderful service, adopting the latest technology. And again, you touched on that word comprehensive. You're doing a lot more than just this robotic hair restoration. So maybe you can touch on, what else is in that armory? What else is in that suite that Venus is bringing to the table?
Well, I can't get into some of it, but I will tell you that I've never been more excited about medical technology and my company. I'm so proud of what we're doing and what's coming down the pike. We intend to robotize medical technology. We intend to offer our providers technology that is unparalleled, that is unmatched, that no one else has, and that will help their patients get the best possible outcome that they deserve with their hard-earned money. So if you want to see where medical technology is going, watch Venus.
Wow. Well, you heard it here. And again, this is a worldwide, you guys are everywhere. Again, if I'm a customer and I want to go and find you, I'm coming on your website and I'm going to get hooked up. And I think you're making this super accessible, which is obviously a huge part when we think about patient care, that, making sure that patients can gain access to a service like this, regardless of where they are.
We are so worldwide that flight attendants, pilots, and TSA agents know me on a first name basis. That's how excited I am to tell this story to the world.
Oh man, wow. You have covered so much in this conversation. I'm wondering again, like when you're looking ahead, you clearly set a really strong vision. Like, what about kind of shorter term? Because I think like there's a lot coming up, bigger picture stuff. You know, if you were going to say, Joey, like next 6 to 18 months, what excites you the most about what you're doing at Venus?
You know, what excites me the most is what we're doing at Venus. And again, you know, I am in charge of our hair restoration services. So the greatest joy I receive from my job is when I meet a patient who's, you know, unhappy with their appearance because of their hair loss. They're unsure as to what to do, what would be best for them, and they choose our robotic technology. And then many times I have the opportunity to meet them again and follow up with them a year later, and all of their hair is grown out. They look and feel so much better, and that is the greatest joy that any of us could receive. And it makes every single penny that we've invested into this technology worth it.
Well, that is a great message for anyone. And again, if you're listening in, it sounds like this is an avenue for anyone who's suffering from hair loss. I think, again, I keep on referring to myself because, you know, I've suffered from hair loss in my early 20s. And so I can just really relate to this. And so it's so exciting that you're bringing together this combination, as Cal touched on earlier on, the AI, the robotics, the accuracy, the comprehensive experience for patients. I mean, what a package to be delivering.
It absolutely is. You know, I mean, if anyone is looking for a takeaway from this conversation, you know, for those out there who may play golf, it's the acronym PAR, which stands for precision, accuracy, and reproducibility. The robot that we have developed we can precisely locate the follicle under the skin using a mathematical algorithm. We can extract that healthy hair follicle with 44 micron accuracy. And the best thing about robotics is it's highly repeatable. We can do it millions and millions of times with the same micron accuracy. Medical technology is truly changing the world. And if you suffer from hair loss, you do not have to live that way. There is help for you. Look for a ARTAS provider, and we will help you with your hair loss.
A man of many acronyms, huh? Swag, par, just bringing it. Love it. So, obviously, Joey, you've seen so much here in hair restoration, right? And you've helped develop these and bring to market these incredibly innovative technologies in robotics primarily. I guess just reflecting on your experiences, right? What are some kind of takeaways? What are a few tips and advice to, other companies bringing to market these robotic technologies, based on your experiences? What would you say to other folks out there that are, looking to, get involved in this industry, and do something, maybe similar to what you've done with Venus Hair?
You know, Kyle, I think my advice to anyone, and I have spent 25 years specifically in the hair restoration industry, and I have seen this industry and this procedure go from its absolute archaic beginnings all the way to micron accurate robotic technology using artificial intelligence. Anyone who is in the medical technology or medical device industry, my advice would be to seek out and embrace technology. Artificial intelligence, it's here to stay. Machine learning is here to stay. Robotics in medicine is here to stay. It's here for a reason, because it makes the process and the procedure better for patients, which is better for doctors. So don't shy away from medical technology. Run toward it. Embrace it. It is the future. We are going to help more people with it, and we're going to make more money with it. So whether you're a provider or you are an industry leader or want to be an industry leader in medical devices, technology is where it's at.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta say, again, going back to what we saw with other medical device companies, right? First, Da Vinci and Intuitive Surgical. Then you've got Hugo with Medtronic. You've got the Mako with Stryker, right? All of these incredible robotic technologies that are leveraging AI, machine learning, right? And now you're seeing it branch outside of, again, these surgical procedures, right? We're seeing it in aesthetics. So it's really neat. And I think you make some really great points there. It's, what other areas of you know, health and med tech in general and aesthetic procedures? Like, where else can it be used? You know, and I think you're a prime example of now what Venus Concepts is doing and Venus Hair is doing, and it's just remarkable stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely correct. At Venus Hair, we focus on three things: hair, face, and body. And so we want to bring the tried and true technologies that we know deliver results, and we want to improve on that. We want to take the best and make it better. And we are determined to use modern technology in that endeavor. We are cutting edge technology where we want to lead the way when it comes to aesthetics. And that is our sole focus.
Sounds like you're doing it.
Incredible. And so I'm understanding there's two pathways here. There's the patients and there's the medical professionals. If they want to come and find you, like, where are they going? How are they connecting?
Yeah, we make it very easy. They can just visit us at venus.ai. And if you are interested in any of our technology as a physician, you can find a lot of information there, and you can find ways to contact us. And if you are a patient interested in any of the procedures that our technologies provide, we will connect you with a top provider in your area. We want to help you whether you are a physician looking for technology or you are a patient looking for technology. We are the technology company.
Well, Joy, this has been absolutely brilliant. You know, we start by framing this whole discussion talking about the future of medical technology, and I think this is some of the most exciting stuff we've heard about, and we don't often hear about loudly enough. You know, aesthetics, again, you touched on, is such a huge, important part in people's lives, in the way we feel. So thank you so much for sharing everything you're doing at Venus.
Yeah, Richard, Kyle, it was my true pleasure. I'm an evangelist for my technology and for my company. It's more than a job; it's a passion for me. I myself was a patient, and so I understand how people feel, and I have a heart to help them.
Well, that's fantastic, Joey. Just incredible conversation today. Really fun sharing your technology with the world. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are, you know, going to want to take advantage. That's for sure. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and sign off now. So, ladies and gentlemen, another huge thank you to Joey Brown, Executive Vice President of Venus Hair. Again, thank you for tuning in to the MedTech Impact Podcast. I'm Kyle Cruz.
And I'm Richard Beagle, John. Until next time, keep innovating.